Hey, and welcome to another episode of Gone for the Win. We're here we're talking about the Oscars, our final thoughts of the Oscars, and then I'm also going to announce the winners of the Gone for the Win awards. I'm not going to do voting this time around, just because we didn't really get a lot of people to do the nominations things, so whether or not I get a lot of people to do the voting, I don't know, but it is what it is. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that at the end. But Dan, I've got Dan here. Dan, how's it going?
Oh, it's been a busy time. Oscars time is a busy time for me. I've been on a lot of different shows and stuff. Plus, I got injured on Friday, so I've been nursing an injury the last 3 days or so. So I haven't been feeling that good, but I wasn't going to miss this for the world.
Yep. And yeah. Not a lot of preamble here. I'm going to just jump straight into this. But obviously the Oscars were yesterday, and it was a lot of fun. And it's one of those ones like I thought for the most part it was like the presentation itself was really good. And I did didn't have a chance to actually go back and rewatch it because I was doing Rankin at the same time, so I was only half watching the opening thing. But there's bits and pieces where it kind of distracted me. But the opening monologue was entertaining. Some of the presentation jokes, though, kind of fell flat for me a lot. Especially the whole bridesmaids bits, which, funny enough, I was thinking this is going way too long, and then they actually called it out on going way too long in the joke, which I thought was the funniest part of that joke. But Dan, what are your thoughts about the actual presentation of the Oscars?
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I mean, I love the opening of the Oscars with him being chased by the kids as Aunt Gladys, and then he goes back and he goes with a bit from one battle after another at the end, and that whole bit at the beginning was hilarious. I absolutely had a blast on that. Yeah, and I understand. Yeah, some of the jokes, even he comments, he's like, "Well, okay, I guess that joke didn't work." You know, there was some jokes that didn't land in the opening monologue. Some of the bits were funny. I'll be honest with you, I really enjoyed the Casablanca bit with him and Sterling K. Brown. I thought that was pretty funny. And yeah, they try to do these like anniversaries of these older movies and stuff like that. And I think that they try to make the bridesmaid thing funny, but it was kind of like, okay, this is going along a little bit too long, and the bit is losing its uh, humorous aspects. I mean, I was glad to see all them on stage again because I haven't watched The Bridesmaid in a while. I can't believe it's 15 years old. That's crazy. And then they had Ewan McGregor and Nicole Kidman come out and do the last award, which is Best Picture, and they're both in the musical Moulin Rouge. They're in Moulin Rouge together. You know what I mean? And they said they didn't get people that didn't know what they're reading, or people that were so old they couldn't do the job or whatever. Because we've had these issues before where they get people out there to do Best Picture and they mess it up. You know what I mean? So at least they had two people that had a little bit of good banter with each other, and then they were able to do the award and whatnot. Yeah, I mean, I really liked the In Memoriam. I thought singling out a few people like Robert Duvall and Robert Redford and Rob Reiner, the whole beginning of it with Rob Reiner and Billy Crystal was good, and Barbara Streisand, The Way We Were at the end was good. They're going to miss people. That we know that. You just have to go in and say, okay, they're going to miss. Like, I didn't see Peter Green. If you saw Peter Green, tell us in the comments you saw Peter Green. But I didn't see anything for Peter Green. But the way Peter Green died is kind of a little bit controversial. So maybe that's the reason why they didn't do Peter Green. If they didn't, I didn't see him on there. And somebody said to me they didn't have Michelle Trachtenberg. Well, she's in like one or two movies.
Well, I mean, Michelle Trachtenberg died in February last year. So if there's going to be any in memoriam, she would have been last year's one.
Last year's.
I saw some people comment about Gene Hackman, but he was in that last year's in memoriam.
Yeah, yeah. No, you're right about that. You got to remember what year the Oscars are in and which one they're.
Or at least what part of the year it was in.
Exactly.
Because I mean, there's a lot of people who still with the comments. I was the only memoriam the people that died last year, but it's like people like Redford, Duvall, all died early. Yeah, all died earlier this year. So it's like it's from Oscars to Oscars where they do the in memoriam. And I was going to lead into this before we sort of get into the actual winners. Like, look, yes, they missed out some people like James Vet. Like there's some notable names that people have brought up, like Eric Dane, who died really recently. James Van Der Beek wasn't in it. Bridget Bardot wasn't in it, which really surprised me to realize that. But with James Van Der Beek and Eric Dane, they are more known as TV actors. Like, so whether or not, I mean,
but James Van Der Beek was in Varsity Blues and a couple. I just recently saw him in the Gates. I wasn't the Gates. He plays a villainous pastor in a community in Texas in the Gates. That was his last role he did. So I just recently saw him in a movie. So I think that maybe. And then Eric Dane has been in since he left Grey's Anatomy. He's been in a few movies as well, obviously in between seasons of Euphoria. You know what I mean? He's been in 3 or 4 movies. I watched him in a few different things. So I mean, I still think if you're in movies, but maybe they put this together so long ago where they couldn't add those guys in somehow or something, you know?
Well, I mean, James Van Der Beek died around the same time as Robert Duvall, and he was, I think Eric Dane was around that same week.
Oh, there was remember how Death's going threes, right? It was boom, boom, boom that week. 3 big names. Go ahead.
Yeah. Because I think some people were saying like Robert Carradine wasn't in it. Julian McMahon wasn't in it. The original, well, not the original Doctor Doom, but the more well-known Doctor Doom. But
he's another TV guy, you know.
Yeah, but I mean, it's one of those ones like yes, they're going to there's going to be like they only get given a small amount of time. They extended this time just because there was so many notable names that died. Like, there's the fact that there was a lot of notable names that left off, but we still got a lot of the bigger names on the actual thing. And it's one of those ones like, it's not like they're saying they never exist, but it's like, as always, they'll do the thing at the end, like, for all the people that died in this year, go to this page. I think it's like, well, yeah, it'd be good to have them on the broadcast, but I think that's a good trade-off to do it, because if you're going to if you only get given X amount of time, you want to put as much people as you can into the PowerPoint presentation. But it's like, obviously there's going to be some names that are either more known for TV than movies, even though but yeah. Like, so for some of those people, it's like, I get it. I still don't get why they left Bridget Bardot. Like, she's probably the biggest movie name that they left off. But
agree.
Yeah, but it is what it is. I'm not going to sit here and dissect the entire in memoriam like Variety.
I thought it was better than last year's. Don't you agree?
Yeah. I still like the way they did it, because I do like the whole tribute thing. And it's one of those ones like as Brian brought it up, like I do wish there were some names that didn't get like a tribute thing that I wish they did, because they didn't do a actual talking tribute of Catherine O'Hara. And they didn't do a talking tribute for Duvall. And I think there's another name that I saw that I thought should have got some kind of talking tribute like that, but at the end of the day, it's like you don't want to over bog it down with tributes like that as at the same time. So
No.
just pick the like some of the biggest names. But at the end of the day, like a lot of sites have broken down the in memoriam, but I don't get. Look, it's one of those things I don't get when it comes to the award shows. Why they have to do a whole news articles like of everyone who's left off the in memoriam because it's like, and it's not like the Oscars are saying they never existed. If you go to their page of everyone that died, they are listed on that page. It's like they just couldn't fit them all in that segment in the however much time they were allotted for it. But anyway, moving on to the actual awards. Now, you're going to hear a lot of the same names. Themes like The Maths is Done. Only 4 movies got multiple awards. But it is also a really, there was also a lot of records actually broken, as a few records broken as well. Some records people want to remember, others not so much, because I don't think Diane wants to be known for having the longest losing streak on Oscar history.
I don't think, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, I don't think Sinners broke they may have or they didn't. They had 4 wins. Does that mean they broke the record for most losses in a single ceremony, or is that record still 11? Because I think 12 would make the single most amount of losses. It might have tied the record, but that's something we should look up. They did have 4 wins. Let's put it that way. We're not taking anything away from Sinners. They did have 4 wins. But because they were nominated for 16, that means they had 12 losses.
Yeah.
But, no, I would say, okay, first of all, since you're looking something up, I'm going to talk right now. And I will say this. Amy Madigan, 40 years difference between the 1986 nomination and now winning for Weapons. That's we talked about this before. This is like the 3rd longest gap between nominated and eventually winning or getting another nomination. So that's, I mean, and her speech was like the first speech of the night besides the monologue and all that stuff. And it was a pretty emotional speech. You got to give Amy Madigan the fact that, that people caught on to Aunt Gladys that much that she ends up getting nominated and winning. And then she thanks her director because he went out and searched for her specifically to be Aunt Gladys, and none of this would have happened without Zach Kreger for her. And did you find what you're looking for, Malcolm?
Yeah. So Sinners does have the record for most losses in a single light. 11 is the previous record, which was the turning point in the color purple.
So there you go. 12 losses. It's ignominious for the 12 losses, but it still had 4 wins, which is crazy.
Yeah. Which is I'm going to use that as a transition because now we're going to talk about the wins. So I'm going to start at the bottom of what order they have on Wikipedia for the Oscars, and which is Best Visual Effects, which, as we predicted, is going to Avatar: Fire and Ash. It's got much deserved. Like we knew that was going to be where it was going. I don't think there's much to say about that.
No, everybody had that.
Yeah, best film editing.
By the way, I did pretty good in my prediction. I got 21 out of 24 in my predictions. So
I got 17 right.
And then they flipped. What killed me, Malcolm, though, is they flipped cinematography and casting. If Sinners had won casting and One Battle had won cinematography, I'd only had 1 wrong.
Yeah. But you'll get to those ones.
I just. I think if anybody's watching, they want to know how we did in our predictions.
Well, yeah. I was going to go to that after we talked about the winners anyway.
Okay.
But anyway, best film editing went to One Battle After Another, which once again is another one we kind of expected.
I predicted that one.
yeah, there wasn't really a lot of big there wasn't a lot of big surprises in the Oscars this year, apart from a couple that we kind of thought were wrong. But
well, F1 was a potential for editing, but then once when Battle won the Eddies, Ace Eddies, and all that stuff, and they were really keying in on that last chase sequence, that's when we started putting the pieces together that it was going to be one battle.
Yeah. But best costume design went to Frankenstein, as like ultimately we ended up predicting. Makeup and hairstyling went to Frankenstein, which was expected.
Yeah, we had 3 going to Frankenstein, and those are 2 of the 3. I wish they just kind of put all 3 of them together, so then Frankenstein all could have got up there together, like back to back to back like that. But they put that one separate.
See, I mean, it's one of those ones I didn't mind that, because I think if they put them all together, people would be like, "Oh, the Oscars are rigged. They knew it was going to happen. They wanted to make sure Frankenstein just doesn't have to keep going up."
Yeah, all right.
But anyway, moving on. The biggest surprise, one of the few surprises that we got in this was best cinematography. We went to Sinners. I think everyone was predicting either One Battle or Train Dreams.
Yeah, I had Train Dreams. Go ahead.
Yeah, but it was also a really welcome surprise as well, because she's the first woman to ever win for cinematography, and at that first black woman to ever win in cinematography.
Yeah, it's the first woman ever to win Oscar for cinematography, which that broke ground, which is what we were talking about at the beginning when you were saying there's some groundbreaking things that happened in this show. One of them was that, and that's great to hear. I mean, my predictions aside, that's still a great story. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I really liked her speech, especially when she I want to think it was her kid that she brought down, or they brought a kid down during her speech for her to thank. I'm not sure if it's her kid or if it was someone that's close to her or something, but I thought it was a really good speech as well. So moving on to production design, that went to Frankenstein.
Which one? Let's go back to the one. Which one was it? The Kiwi that won?
That was the costume design.
Oh, we haven't got that far.
Oh, we've already talked about it.
Yeah, well, I wanted to bring that up because that's a big thing for you, because you've been talking to me and talking to the people that listen and watch Gone with the Wind for a while now, that you were kind of rooting for Frankenstein because it was a Kiwi that did that costume design. And I really liked her speech too. I mean, she thanked some of the great costume designers in the past that inspired her to become a costume designer and stuff. And then she thanked, which I like what Conan did at the beginning, when he said, "Hey, you know what? Thank your fellow nominees." He was giving people rules at the beginning. One of them was thank your fellow nominees. And she did thank her fellow nominees. You know what I mean? And there was some talk of possibly Sinners could win that because Ruthie Carter had already won twice,
Yeah. But moving on to another big surprise, the best I want to say surprise, but it's also one of those awards that no one really knew which way was going to go, and that's the best casting award. And I do like the fact that they've done what they did in the past for other categories, and have 5 people from those movies come out to talk about their casting director and how important casting is and all that. I like that they did that for this category, and it's one of those ones like Dan has been saying further, that he was thinking that the casting was going to be a second place award, was going to go to Sinners, but it ended up not being the case. It went to one bout after another, which looking up her this casting just from what a lot of she's done most of the PDA's works. She's a well-known casting director, so although
no, I agree. Go ahead, Mark. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, what I was about to say is like looking it up. Like the Sinners casting director is also a really big deal. Like she's done a lot of casting as well. But
Yeah.
but you one battle.
Go ahead.
No, you go. I'll cut you off.
No, that's the thing. You know, I mean, and you mentioned it. They had the 5 movies, and maybe it was just the fact that Sinners went last. And I thought to myself, oh, they're doing Sinners last. Delroy Lindo's doing it, and he's like thanking her about adding him to the cast and all this kind of stuff. And I thought, oh, okay, this is going to go to Sinners. It's because they had them in alphabetical order, and that's why Sinners was last. And so I thought, oh, Sinners is going to win this. And then they went one battle after another. I think the whole room was quiet. They were like, what? You know, nobody thought that because she had already won at Critics' Choice and SAG. Technically, the cast won at SAG, and she went up on stage with them at SAG. So she's already won a couple times. I don't remember if she won at BAFTA or not. I can't remember. But it's kind of an upset. It's not technically an upset because one battle won 6 Oscars. It was the big winner on the night. But I mean, leading up to this award ceremony, it had kind of cleaned up Sinners had in casting specifically, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's one of those ones like not to diminish the casting order. I think, but like all these movies are nominated very well deserved for this category.
Oh yeah.
But it is because of what Dan was saying. Is like maybe wonders like, are we actually getting an upset in Best Picture? Because I was thinking like of what Dan was saying is like, I was the second place award, and when One Battle One's like, is Sinners going to get Best Picture? That kind of went for my head.
Me too. I was worried, Malcolm. I was worried as well as you were. I was thinking, oh man, if I lose Best Picture, it's going to kill me. It's going to kill my predictions. It's going to kill everything I did all night long. I did so well all night long, and then if I lose Best Picture, I was like, no, not. But then it didn't happen. So maybe this is going to be a trend. We'll have to see in the years to come with casting. Maybe the Best Picture is going to pull off Best Casting as well.
Yeah.
But
moving on to Best Sound, it went to F1, which was kind of predicted.
They like their room cars, don't they, Malcolm?
Yep. Moving on to Best Music for Best Original Song, that went to Golden from K-Pop Demon Hunters.
And that's go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Which I was really pissed off at the Oscars for cutting off the acceptance speech when the guy like EJ was like did most of it. Then the other guy wanted to say something, like they started playing them off. It was like, that's rude. It's like, yeah.
When you have two people writing a song, and they're both on stage, let both people have a chance to say something, right?
Well, I was actually going to say something else. Because I was watching a TikTok and records about this. This is a first time win, like in this category. This is a first time win for a song that's got more than 4 writers. Like typically, like 4 writers is the max, because they only give out 4 trophies maximum. So it's like there is more the writers in here than Oscars that they got given for original songs. So it's like, so some people are going to have to share this Oscar, but they still won regardless. Yeah,
that happens when it comes to stuff like that. It does happen where we have to share Oscars. You know, it's not something.
Also, props to Lionel Richie for doing a better job than Marlon Wayans for pronouncing the names.
Oh yeah, wow, he did a great job pronouncing the names. And obviously, they recorded that earlier because I saw Mikey Madison's was. You could tell hers was recorded previously, so they probably had a chance to practice the names and record them, which. You know, yeah, Marlon, if you can't say the names of people, you shouldn't be announcing on any kind of thing like that. I don't think, but that's just me.
I mean, look, foreign names I will give a pass to because they're hard to get right in the first place. It's if you can't pronounce regular names, that's where the issue.
They're Korean names. There's some tough names. There's some tough names.
Yeah.
But I mean, Golden. Look, I heard some controversy from some people. Well, of course, Golden or the song from Sinners was going to win because they're the only two songs that got performed on the show. I said, first of all, number one, Golden is such a spectacle of a song. It's the Academy Awards, which they give you an Oscar, which is a golden trophy. And it's gold is a theme of the night. So it's a no-brainer to perform that song. And then I thought the other song was very well done as well. People, well, why did you die in war? Well, I don't know. Time or whatever. Maybe they weren't great song. Maybe they couldn't get them people to do it. I don't know. Like Nick Cave or whatever. Who knows why those songs weren't there. But Golden is a spectacle of a song, and it deserved to be sung on the stage, especially for this specific moment. Don't you agree?
Yeah. Well, I mean, not so much that, but it's like I think I said this in a group chat I'm in, where it was like people were going, "Oh, they only did 2 of the nominees." It's like, well, I mean, they did the 2 nominees, which you get a really good performance out of.
Yeah.
And like both Golden and I Lied to You, they were great great performed songs.
Yeah. In the movie as well, not in the credits,
Well, yeah. Because I mean, because in the clip of Sweet Dreams to Joy is like, God, this song is is not my style of music yet.
Oh, the opera one, the opera.
Although they could have although because of Timothy Chalamet, they could have done a really funny thing and just constantly performed it anyway, and just watched. And
they could have they could have went and grabbed him off his seat and put him up on stage, put him in a chair. That would have been hilarious. That would have been funny as hell.
Yeah. But and I mean, and Dear Me is like, I mean, it's a good song. Don't get me wrong, it's a good song, but it's also one of those ones like you can't really get a good performance out of, and that's the issue I've had with some of these where they performed all the songs, like as much as I like Billie Eilish song from Barbie, that's one of those ones where it's like the performance, it was good, but it's like there wasn't like a really dancey performance either. And that those kind of performances, I don't know if they really work with the crowd.
Did that win, the Billie Eilish one or the other one? Because I thought the other song in Barbie that was nominated that year was good too. Was it?
It was that year. It was the Billie Eilish song because she had won the year. She had won 2 Oscars within a short span of time. I remember talking about that because she had won No Time to Die earlier as well.
What was the I love the other song, but the one that they go and perform on the show is "I'm Just Ken." Ryan Gosling does his whole number on the show, "I'm Just Ken," and that's not even nominated, but it's such a good
actually
people wanted to see it, right?
So I think I'm Just Ken was nominated.
Was it? Okay,
it was the Dua Lipa one that wasn't.
That's the one I thought. I said, man, this is a really good song, But they have the rules where 3 songs from the same movie can't be nominated, And it that was 2 years ago, so it wasn't like last year wasn't a good year for song, but 2 years ago was a good year, and this year was a good year for song.
Yeah. So What Was I Made For by Billie Eilish and I'm Just Ken were the 2 songs that was nominated.
Okay. So that makes sense then that they performed that one on there then, and that was the moment of the show. That was really the moment of the show. That I'm Just Ken.
But moving on to best music for original score, and that went to Sinners, as kind of predicted. He's becoming like the new John Williams, where it's just like getting banger after banger after banger of Vince. And
we don't know. He might get nominated again for sorry, Malcolm. I thought I put the volume down on this. My apologies. I apologize on that, Malcolm. No, I thought the Odyssey. He's got the Odyssey coming this summer. He could get nominated and win again. And it's like, oh my God, this guy is this. And I loved it how he he talked about his relationship with Ryan Coogler and stuff, and how he ended up meeting him, and they have this relationship that has been a very fruitful one for both of them, but mainly him. You know, if it wasn't for him meeting and going to school with Ryan Coogler, who knows what his career would be like today? You know?
Yeah, no, exactly, and but yeah, but next year's going to be interesting because people have already like saying is like that they think I've seen people out there with their really early Oscar predictions that they think Project Hail Mary is going to be a big contender at the Oscars. I mean,
it's a beautiful movie. I've already seen it, Malcolm. It's a beautiful, beautiful, heartwarming movie. I can't recommend it enough.
But moving on to best animated short film, it went to The Girl Who Cried Pearls.
Got that one. I thought, Malcolm, I just thought it had the best animation. I know you had Butterfly, and that was the trending one that like Gold Derby had and stuff like that. I just thought the best animation was The Girl Who Cried Pearls. And I thought, oh, if you're going to give it to the one with the best animation. I thought stop motion animation is not easy to do, you know?
Yeah. But moving on to best live action short film, in which we got a tie.
And I got one of the ties, so that worked out good for me.
But and which it went to both the singers and two people exchanging saliva. And for like short film, I thought the speeches that they gave were really good as well.
Yeah, you know, and the thing is, you know, I want to just say something real quick. The guy that went on stage, he's a busker in New York City. I saw him a few years ago on America's Got Talent, and the guy is amazing. He was amazing, and I was like, oh my God, I recognize that guy in the singers, and I couldn't, for the life of me, I could not place who he. And then when he said who he was, I was like, oh, that's Mike from the America's Got Talent. I remember him, yeah. And those were the two ones that everybody was saying, okay, it's going to be one of these two, right? I just went with the one I thought was the most cinematic, and that was two people exchanging saliva. I really did like it after watching all the shorts, but so that's why I went with it, and I got lucky and ended up winning it, being one of the two that got tied.
Yep, and then moving on to documentary short film, it went to All the Empty Rooms, which, had I realized what it was about, I probably would have predicted that.
Yeah, well, Mark, I gave you the opportunity to watch all the shorts, and you turned me down, so that's your own fault. I could have given you all the shorts to watch, and you could have watched them. Go ahead.
I just never done it.
No, I'm just picking on you a little bit. No.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw that, I said, especially in this country right now with all the school shootings and stuff, this is hitting sometimes with these shorts, it's just hitting a nerve of what's going on in the country. And that really hit a nerve. And when the guy got up there and spoke about it, yeah, that really hit home. And that's why I voted for it. I mean, people are like, how did you get all the shorts? I said, it seemed pretty easy to me. But what do I know? I watched them all. I voted for the ones that I felt were the best ones. So it just worked out that way, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those ones that, like, shorts has always been those categories where it's like, you can either guess them really well or just guess them terribly.
I've been doing good on the shorts over the last few years, though, because I've been watching them. If you watch them, you kind of pick out the best ones, really.
But yeah, I mean, the speech itself was good though. It's just, and it's one that I really hope people listen to and like think, oh yeah, maybe we should do something about the guns. But anyway.
By the way, real quick, Malcolm, that's on Netflix, and so is Singers. So if you want to go back and retroactively and watch some of the shorts, they're on different streaming services. So you just kind of got to look for
them. But moving on to documentary feature film, which is like short films but longer, which is a joke I love. Well, Dan Gianni's joke I liked. And that went to Mr. Nobody Against Putin, and which was kind of like winning everywhere is like easy to predict. There.
Yeah, well, what happened was Malcolm, that what's his face people started, and I hate lack of a better word, crapping on The Perfect Neighbor. I thought it wasn't that good of a documentary, to be honest with you. You know, and I know you were in the same boat as me. You weren't a big fan of it, and you just started seeing Mr. Nobody versus Putin. It won the BAFTA, and it started winning in places in smaller guilds and stuff. And I'm like, I think people need to start switching. That's what I did when I saw it. I was like, okay, I'm voting for Mr. Nobody versus Putin, especially with. I know it's 2 times in a row. Is it 2 or 3 times in a row where a Ukraine doc has won it? It might be 2 times in a row now, and this will be like a kind of a faux Ukraine doc, you know. But yeah, it's just when you have an important topic that's done well, you know, 9 out of 10 times they vote for that one, right?
Yeah. But moving on to international feature film, that went to Sentimental Value, which I'm glad about that it wasn't. I'm glad it wasn't completely shut out because, and we'll get to the category which could have, yeah.
No, I mean, look, I thought it could be The Secret Agent because it had the casting and the Best Picture nom, and I was worried about that. But I think it was they wanted to give the best movie that they could give an award to that wasn't in some of those other categories. And they're like, okay, how are we going to give the next best movie that we think is one of the best movies of the year? And that's Sentimental Value, you know, because Joachim Trier did get into director, and I believe he got into screenplay, if I'm not mistaken, or one of the screenplay categories. So there was strength behind Sentimental Value. And I was glad to see it. I think it's one of the best movies of the year. Obviously, it made my top 5 of the year out of my top 10. So I was really happy to see that win.
I mean, it was one of those ones like, and I mean, it was also winning international feature in other places, and like I think it runs international at the BAFTAs as well. It was like, so it was winning international everywhere. So it was like it like Sentimental Value had the momentum going into the Oscars, like, and so yeah,
I think people just got worried that when none of their actors got nominated at the actor awards, they started getting worried. I got worried. I'll be honest with you. I got worried. I was like, how do you not nominate any of the actors from this movie? You know, that was kind of weird, right?
Yeah. But moving on to animated feature film, and they went to K-pop Demon Hunters, which
everybody knew that was going to happen. Yeah. I think it was a weak year for animated feature, and the default best of the year, quote unquote, whatever you want to call it. Zootopia made a lot of money, so that, you know, there's still Disney's rolling in their money like Scrooge McDuck over there, you know. But yeah, I think that we knew it was going to get the twofer.
Yeah. But moving on to adapted screenplay, that went to One Battle After Another, and original screenplay went to Sinners, which, I mean, it was kind of obvious at this point. So they both, I believe they both won the WGA for those respective categories.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did. And the funny part, you know, going back to casting, the casting director of One Battle says, I won an Oscar before you did PTA. She's like needling this guy. And then of course he ends up winning, you know, 3 of them later on, but says, I got mine first, you know. I thought that was a little bit of kind of fun that she was picking on him a little bit, you know?
Yeah. But moving on to Best Actress in a Supporting Role, and that went to Amy Madigan for Weapons, which I was glad happened of it. And like, so, and it's once also, say what you want about the fact that Sinners didn't get a lot of wins. Horror as it itself got a lot of wins tonight. It was like you'd like at least 8. It was like you had 3 for Frankenstein, 4 for Sinners, and then 1 for Weapons. It's and it's one of those ones that's like I saw someone on Facebook who just really does not like Weapons for whatever reason. It's like,
I saw that too.
yeah, it's like, oh, now that it's the worst. Now that the worst movie ever win Oscars, it's like Weapons is good. It's like
Weapons is
and,
good. I don't know
and
what
like even if you like,
movie you watch.
and even if you didn't like the movie, it's like Amy Madigan's performance was great and deserved.
She makes the movie. She makes the movie. Without her performance in that movie doesn't work as well as it does.
Exactly. And then we had Best Actor in a Supporting Role, and that went to Sean Penn, and his speech was non-existent because he wasn't there.
Well, Malcolm, okay, look, me and Malcolm both protected Sean Penn, but we knew, I'll tell you, people want to make a big deal. Oh, Sean Penn's winning and he's not even showing up. He's not even campaigning. Okay. Look, I have this platform right now, Malcolm, with you. And my thing is this, okay? Look, he knows how despicable the character he is playing is, okay? He, as a thespian, as an actor, gave the best performance he could, and he did the job that he was paid for to do that job, and it is obviously being rewarded by people. But I give him credit for saying, you know what, I don't want to get up on a stage and start, yeah, I had a great character, this great no, he knew who he was modeling the character after, the types of people that are in this country right now. And he did the job that he was paid for by PTA and by Warner Brothers and the people behind that movie. But he wasn't going to champion that performance. If the people that watched that movie and saw that character said, okay, this is a phenomenal character, one of the most memorable villains we've seen in a long time, and we're going to give him awards for it, then so be it. But he wasn't going to go along with it, and he wanted people to know he understands what the job was, and he did the job, and he got the reaction from people, obviously, by winning BAFTA, SAG, and Oscar. Bang, bang, bang. But he didn't show up for any of them. Do you agree or disagree with that? I mean, and I would like to hear your comments on this. You're in a pretty peaceful country. You're not in a kind of a crazy country like I live in. So you might have a different perspective. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I kind of disagree that that's why I didn't accept it. Like there were some actors who just who don't feel like they need to come up and explain why they love their job, and that because I bet Sean because if it was a case of Sean Penn, if Sean Penn had been to other award shows before and chose not to turn up the Oscars, then that's one thing. It was but he just very rarely shows up to award shows anyway. So, and I think it's just a case of I think he's just one of those guys that's just either that really humble and just doesn't want to have to get up on stage and accept awards, similar to Kate Blanchett from a few years ago, when she famously
the Dog and Pony Show.
Yeah. So maybe he feels like that, but maybe but he's the smart one, just doesn't show up to any award show, so he doesn't ruin his chances.
But he showed up for Milk when he won for Milk. He showed up when he won for Mystic River.
Well, yeah. I mean, but it's one of those ones we don't know what he's doing at the moment. He might be in the middle of filming something as well.
Somebody said he was in Ukraine. Now he's and I will say this: he did a lot of work in Haiti, and the fact that he's over in Ukraine doing humanitarian work, I could give him a pass on that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, and it's one of those ones but yeah, I mean, he's shown up to accept awards before, but maybe it's just a case of something's changed to him sort of in the past year. Maybe it was in the past year, everything that's been going on, maybe he just doesn't feel like it's right to go up and accept awards while there's so much stuff happening in the world that are causing harm to other people. So maybe that's his mindset, because as you said, he's a very big humanitarian and that he cares about other people. So maybe he feels like accepting a award for movies that he was in that are fake.
Well, maybe he decided to go with the Brando approach, where, you know what, he sent Sachin Littlefeather up there to get his award, and why she said why he didn't come, and it was because of the treatment of indigenous people in Hollywood and in general. Maybe that's his protest by not showing up. He's protesting some of these things that are going on in the world and in the country.
Yeah,
that's the easy kind of I mean, easy to figure out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but regardless of his reason, he deserved the Oscar.
No doubt about it.
But moving on to Best Actress in a Leading Role, and that went to Jessie Buckley, who's made history herself because she's the first Irish woman to win Best Actress. Only three. And just an interesting stat that I found out recently is only 3 Irish actors have ever won an Oscar in total. It started with Barry Fitzgerald from the early 40s, who was in Going My Way of Bing Crosby, and then I can't remember who the second one was, but yeah,
Cillian Murphy.
Obvious, but yeah, so yeah, like the fact we have like very back to back, no, not back to back, but close enough.
Look,
Irish, yeah.
And without getting too much on a tangent here, these countries, and I don't know if your country's different or what. A lot of times, Wales, Ireland, Scotland, England, these European countries, they teach the arts at a very young age. Who was it? She had said something about how her father or somebody or his uncle or somebody had owned a theater or something, or maybe it was Ludwig Göransson. I don't remember. But these people work on the craft of acting at a very young age. By the time they're in their teens and early 20s, they're like professional, like the best at that's why you see so many Australian, Irish, Scottish, Wales, English actors and actresses getting nominated and getting a lot of the roles in Hollywood because they're so good at their craft. And we knew as soon as, was it Red? Oh God, Red. God, I forget. I knew as soon as I saw her in that movie, where she plays a English country singer. She wants to be a country singer.
Wild Rose, is that the one?
Wild Rose. That's it. Wild Rose. I said, this girl's going to have a career ahead of her. And I might be in the minority, but I think she's incredible as the bride in The Bride, Malcolm. And I think she gives just as good a performance in The Bride as she did in Hamnet. Obviously, you haven't seen The Bride yet. Probably hasn't even come to New Zealand yet. But
it's come out. I just haven't had a chance.
Okay. No problem. Yeah, definitely. I think she's amazing in The Bride. She just goes there in that movie, But
yeah. But moving on to Best Actor in a Leading Role, and that ultimately went to Michael B. Jordan for his dual role as Smoke and Stack, which I believe I saw someone say that it's the first time in 60 years since someone's won an Oscar for playing a dual role since Lee Marvin for Cat Ballou.
Yeah, well, Look, Malcolm, I apologize. I'm going to apologize ahead of time before I say this. You know my stance on this. I think Edward Norton got robbed in Primal Fear. Robbed. But because Cuba Gooding Jr. had the most memorable lines, show me the money and all this kind of stuff, he ends up getting the Oscar that year. But I thought Edward Norton gave the best performances in a dual, technically a character that had split personality. I don't know if you would call it a dual role, but he had split personality. But so that, that's.
Well, I mean, I will argue that split personality is not necessarily playing a dual role, unfortunately.
Okay, all right, that's fine.
Yeah.
So, no, but look, I didn't think about this until I was going into the SAGs. I said, wait a minute here. This guy's been acting for 25 years. He's been in TV as a kid, like The Wire and Friday Night Lights and all these shows and stuff before he became a movie star. And so I thought to myself, you know what? It makes sense that he would get the actor. And then if you put that together with what's the biggest voting body in the Oscars? The acting branch, Malcolm. So, and then the whole thing with Timothy happened right when they were voting. So it kind of made sense that he came out on top, and I missed the tea leaves there.
Well, the Timothy thing only came out recently. That we're near the end of voting. So, so Timothy's comments on opera and ballet, I don't think affected this. Like, I know a lot of people are coming out saying it's like that it affected it. I don't. It didn't affect it as much as people want to try and say it did. I don't think it did.
Okay. All right.
I think it just comes down to like I think this is just a case of the SAG win meant something. And like I was kind of thinking that well maybe similar to supporting actor was like I was thinking well Stellan Skarsgård wasn't in the SAG nomination, so maybe the actors will go Stellan Skarsgård because we don't know how that would have happened if he was nominated against him and at the SAG, but ultimately they went that way. But I was kind of thinking, well, maybe the same thing can be said for Ragnar Moore. Maybe he's kind of gets up there, but if there was any people voting against like Sean Penn or Michael B. Jordan, it really wasn't enough to change a lot. So,
and the other thing, and you mentioned it last week on last week's episode or the last episode we did, the guy in the crowd at the BAFTAs calling out profanities to him and Delroy Lindo on stage. There is a crossover in voting in BAFTA and the Academy. Maybe that had something to do with it. Who knows? You don't know. But there is crossover.
Yeah, I mean, there is crossover. I still don't think that had anything to do with it.
I know. I respect your thoughts on that. I just said as a possibility of how things came out.
Well, the reason I say that is because like SAG happened the same week as the BAFTAs pretty much. So so if it was going to change anything at the SAG, it's too late. Well, it was too late for that to happen. I think the fact that SAG and Michael B. Jordan showed that the Oscars should have shown, and I should have changed my prediction that Michael B. Jordan was going to come out for the win.
Me too.
But
I dropped the ball on that one. I would have only had two wrong. I would have only had two wrong, Malcolm.
But I was doing. It's the first. But yeah, it's one of those rare cases in which neither of the people who got Best Actor for Comedy or Drama at the Golden Globes did not win the Oscar.
But, how interesting is that?
Yeah. But moving on to Best Director, and that went to Paul Thomas Anderson, as we kind of predicted, and then Best Picture still went to one battle after another, which is I still think is well deserved. Even if some people there's some people online that who just recently said it and go, if you like one battle after another, you're a racist. Get out of here with that.
That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. I mean, you can like Sinners and still like One Battle After Another. Yeah. I like both movies. I like both.
Well,
movies.
I
don't like this one movie without the other. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not going to call him out by name, but it's like, but it's like he completely missed the point of the movie too. Because because I was going to get Jonathan on, but unfortunately something came up for him, and he couldn't make it in the end. But it's like, we were talking about this earlier, but it's like he says like, well, he completely missed the point of the movie because it's about like the blacks, the everyone working together to face this one injustice. But But yeah, I'm not going to delve too much into that because
no, I agree. Malcolm, I've seen the movie multiple times. All right, and I'll tell you right now that this movie really, in this society of today, we've talked about this before. Me and you've been doing this a little while. The right movie for the right time wins, and I think this movie was the right movie for the right time, and that's why it won. Just like Nomad won when it won, and Green Book won when it won, and vice versa. Everything Everywhere All at Once won when it won. You know what I mean? I just people forget that. I think people forget that a lot of times the Academy gives the Oscar to the movie at the time that fits the time and what the country is dealing with or going through. You know what I mean? And I think One Battle really reflected that. Don't you agree? I mean, you're from New Zealand, all right, but you talk to a lot of Americans. You're friends with a lot of Americans online and stuff like that. You're basically an American, except you're from New Zealand.
Well, I mean, just to touch on that a little bit, is like a lot of the things that they talk, that One Battle they talk about in the movie is like it's not a problem that's like just an American problem. Those kind of things like do happen around the world. Like they do, it's like they do happen a lot. Well, yes, at the moment it's happening a lot in America, but it's happening everywhere. Like there's injustices happening everywhere against many, like, and yeah, but
and there's people in every country that think they're better than people in other countries, and they try to push down the people that they don't think are better than them. It happens in every country all over the world. You know, it's how life is sometimes. You know, is it the right thing? No, it's not the right thing. But that movie captured that, right? Quite a bit, didn't it?
Yeah. No, it definitely captured that. And funny enough, like, I would argue that if Sinners won, then it still would have been the right movie to win for the time. It is ironically, because I think even Sinners, I think it doesn't go too heavy into those kind of things, but I think it still is really indicative of that culture and that as well.
Well, yeah, there are some undertones of racism and stuff like that in Sinners.
Because you talked about Green Book earlier, that wasn't the best movie that year that dealt with that. I would have argued for Black Klansman over Green Book.
Yeah.
But with that is the Oscars for this year. Now it's time to move on over to the Gone for the Win Awards, which might actually look very similar. But I'm going to start with visual effects. I'm going to do, because I'm not going to do like nominations there, I'm going to sort of do like the runners up, at least 4 runners up, just so you know who the 5 would have been. There would be people be voting on if we were doing nominations. So starting with best visual effects again, the 4 runners up, we had Fantastic Four: First Steps, F1, Sinners, Superman, and ultimately the winner, Avatar: Fire and Ash.
So we matched the Academy, but we got Fantastic Four in there. We got Superman in there, so that was kind of cool.
Yeah. Moving on to Stunt Ensemble, which isn't in the Oscars yet.
3 more years. We got 3 more years, Malcolm.
Yeah, but the 4 runners up we had for that is a movie called Splitsville, F1, One Battle After Another, and Superman, with the winner being Mission Impossible: Final Reckoning, which was a very overwhelmingly as well.
Yeah, I mean, everybody, we all, those scenes with Tom Cruise doing the biplane scenes, and some of those scenes are just incredible. I mean, that's undeniable, amazing stunt work, and that's why it's kind of sad that he couldn't win an Academy Award for stunts this year, or the stunt people for that movie. Yeah. But what are you going to do?
Well, I mean, once again, it depends on who it goes to, because it's probably going to go to stunt coordinators, which Tom Cruise is. But moving on to best original song, which would have had a few more nominations. The runners up we had Last Time I Saw the Sun from Sinners, Soda Pop from K-pop Demon Hunters, No Place Like Home from Wicked for Good, Let's Prepare for Paddington from Paddington in Peru, The Girl in the Bubble for Wicked for Good, I Lied to You from Sinners, and Golden was ultimately won it out. And just like what I think is probably the case of the Oscars, it was a really close race between those two.
What's good about the Gone with the Wind awards, we get to see some other ones that we think were more deserving, like Wicked. Whether you like the movie, you don't like that song. I thought The Girl in the Bubble was a good song, so that's why I think that deserved to be in here. And of course, Soda Pop. I've listened to Soda Pop a few times. That's another good song. So, yeah, we get to expand on the category sometimes the Gone with the Wind awards.
But moving on to Best Original Score, the 4 winners up was Hamnet, Marty Supreme, Frankenstein, and One Battle After Another, with the winner being Sinners.
That's the 5 Oscar nominees, right?
No, Begonia was in there.
Okay.
And Frankenstein wasn't. I don't think Frankenstein was nominated at the Oscars either.
No? Okay. All right, so you had a couple different ones, but Ludwig Göransson, of course, he was going to win. But you got Alexander Desplat in there for Frankenstein, so you had some good people.
Best Sound, the 4 nominations for Best Sound, we had Surratt, Avatar: Fire and Ash, Sinners, and One Battle After Another. F1 came out as the winner, just like the Oscars.
Yeah, similar category to the Oscars, but with F1 coming out. Surratt, I know a lot of people are high on Surratt as far as the sound goes, and that is one of the best parts about that movie. So,
but to Best Makeup and Hairstyling, the 4 winners up that we had Smashing Machine, Weapons, Sinners, and Wicked for Good. And we had a tie for the winner of makeup and hairstyling. It went to Frankenstein and 28 Years Later.
Oh wow! No, you gotta love the makeup at 28 Years Later. But Frankenstein, great makeup, So with less voters, you're gonna get a few ties.
Yeah, I mean, it was also the way I did it too. It was like basically if someone had something at number 1, it's 5 point. Like I gave it 5, then 4, 3. So, but moving on to costume design, the 4 winners up we had was Hamnet, Frankenstein, One Battle After Another, and Sinners. Wicked for Good ended up winning costume design.
Whoa, that's an upset in costume design, because I definitely think one of the other movies should have won costumes, but Frankenstein won the Oscar. So there is some love with the Gone with the Wind awards for Wicked for Good. Those dresses were pretty amazing on all the characters and the uniforms and stuff like that. So it kind of makes sense that Wicked would get in there. I think it maybe should have gotten in there for the Academy Awards as well, but
But moving on to production design, the 4 winners up we had was Wicked for Good, Hamnet, Fantastic Four: First Steps, and Frankenstein, and our winner was Sinners.
Yeah, I mean, I like the production giant in Frankenstein, so I thought when that was the one front runner for the Academy, I was like, yeah, it deserves it. I think those sets are incredible, and Guillermo del Toro is meticulous with his designs, and he draws everything out and they build everything. So it's really kind of interesting that it went to Sinners, where basically they only had the one set, which is the barn. You know what I mean? I thought maybe Fantastic Four might have had a chance at it here.
But moving on to Best Film Editing, our 4 runners up we had was Sinners, Sentimental Value, F1, and Marty Supreme, with the winner being One Battle After Another.
Yeah, I mean, it's got the best edited scene of the entire year, so it makes sense that it wins editing.
But moving on to Best Cinematography, our runners up we had was Train Dreams, Marty Supreme, Frankenstein, and Sinners. One Battle After Another gets the win here.
Yeah, I will. God, man. I mean, I like the cinematography. It goes hand in hand with the with the editing. I think those two really go hand in
Yeah,
hand because you get those scapes, those backdrops and stuff in one battle. I really would like to have seen Train Dreams.
yeah. But moving on to best cast ensemble, um, our runners up was Sentimental Value, Hamnet, Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, and Sinners is the winner.
Well, I mean, I don't know if we got it right, but we went with Sinners over the
Yeah,
Academy, which went with One Battle. So I don't know who's right. Maybe they're
I mean,
both right.
well, once again, for a lot of these categories, it was really close between Sinners and One Battle. It just depend. Like it's just those couple of points where someone may have put it higher in a category than others, and then vice versa.
Yeah.
Um, but for best documentary, is all over the place. This is one of those ones where like I didn't get not a lot of people put a lot in here, but so we would have had a kind of a stacked category. But our runners up we would have had was Prime Minister, which is about Jacinda Ardern, Apocalypse in the Tropics, The Alabama Solution, 2,000 Meters to Andrivica, Pavements, and then we had a tie for the winner, which perfectly sums up this community actually with one of them. But The Perfect Neighbor, and then the other one was John Candy, I Like Me was the other winner, which John Candy, I Like Me sums up the community. Everyone likes John Candy. Everyone likes that documentary. And then a lot of people, for whatever reason, really likes Perfect Neighbor. I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't get it either. I mean, I've seen all the docs in this category, and yeah, I mean, I would have loved to have seen John Candy win by itself without the Perfect Neighbor getting it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been beautiful. That we would have got John Candy the win. You know.
But moving on to best comedy movie, where this is one of those categories where it's like almost everyone's five that they had in this category were different. It was like it led to just a big range of movies, but the four nominations we had was Is This Thing On, Wake Up Dead Man, Sorry Baby, and One Battle After Another were the four runners up. The winner was The Naked Gun.
Yeah, yeah, the community got it right, Malcolm. You know, they don't have best comedy at the Oscars, so they do have it at the Golden
Critics'
Globe.
Choice.
The Golden Globes has it,
Yeah.
and so does Critics' Choice. But I'm glad to see that we gave best comedy to The Naked Gun. That movie had me laughing. I don't think I laughed as much in my life as I laughed in that movie. That was one of the funniest things I've seen. And you know, I'm not that good. I'm not that big on those types of comedies, but I just, for whatever reason, that movie just hit me. You know.
Yep. And then moving on to best horror movie, the four runners up we had was Companion, 28 Years Later, Final Destination Bloodlines, and Weapons. And our winner was Sinners.
Oh wow, Weapons gets beat by Sinners. Yeah, well, that's kind of the best picture contender type of thing. So people obviously were going to go with Sinners over Weapons. The Weapons made it in the nominations, which was good, and the rest of them were really good. Those was probably you could say you have your own opinion on this. I don't think last year was a great year for horror movies. So those ones that you named are pretty much the best horror movies of the year, really, if you really think about it. This year is already looking like a really good year for horror, though, 2026.
But moving on to our best foreign language movie, our four honorable mentions, we had a movie called Resurrection, which I've never heard of before.
Yeah, well, okay, I'll tell you, it hasn't come out yet in the United States. It's a neon movie. I don't know if it's come out in there. It premiered at the New York Film Festival in December. So somebody obviously has seen it and they put it on the nominations, but it technically hasn't come out in America yet.
Yeah.
It's not until I think somewhere around June, I believe it's coming out in America.
Yeah. We also had it was just an accident. Sentimental Value and No Other Choice round out the honorable mentions. Our winner for Best Foreign Language Movie was The Secret Agent.
Wow, that's pretty good. I mean, look, it got nominated for Best Cast, Best International Feature, Best Picture. So there was a lot of love for it. Best Actor for Wagner Moura. So there was a lot of love for it with the Academy. So it makes sense that it would translate over to the Gone with the Wind community.
I mean, and we don't really have a Brazilian contingent in the Gone with the Wind award voters.
Yeah, so it's just people who watched it liked it.
But moving on to Best Animated Feature, our 4 honorable mentions. We had Looney Tunes: The Day the Earth Blew Up, Nazar 2, Elio, Zootopia 2, and our winner is K-pop Demon Hunters.
Well, I'll be honest with you, Malcolm. I like these nominees better than the ones for the Academy. I really liked the fact that the Looney Tunes movie, The Day the Earth Blew Up, is hilarious. So funny, man. And we might get the Acme versus Coyote movie this year because I think I believe Catch Up Entertainment picked that up from Warner Brothers, bought it. So we're probably going to get that later on.
Yeah, I mean it is slated for release this year. I can't remember when it's coming out, but it is coming out.
I'm glad these movies are seeing the bright of day. They deserve to be out there for people to watch. If you don't want to produce it and you don't want to put money into putting it out in theaters, Warner Brothers, I'm glad you sell it to other people like Catch Up Entertainment where they could try to make some money out of it,
Yeah, but moving on to Best Original Screenplay, which is another one of those categories where it's like there's many different nominations where it's like there was only really like 2 movies that got a lot of that appeared on most people's lists, but our honorable mentions, we had like Bob Trevino Likes It, Sorry Baby, Pike River, It Was Just an Accident, Marty Supreme, and then the winner was Sinners.
Pike River, that had to be you, right?
Yeah, I was the only one that had it on their list.
Yeah. But no, Sinners is makes sense. It won the Academy Award for Best Original Screenplay, so it makes sense.
And then Best Adapted Screenplay, our 4 honorable mentions, we had Frankenstein, Song Sung Blue, Wake Up Dead Man, Hamnet, and then our winner was One Battle After Another, which once again makes sense. Yeah.
What'd you say?
I was about to say, it was like, once again, it makes sense because it was also like the most loved one at the Oscars too.
Yeah, I mean that's with the Academy on the screenplay categories.
Yeah, but moving on to Best Director, which we would have had a few here, but our honorable mentions we had was Guillermo del Toro for Frankenstein, Chloe Zhao for Hamnet, Robert Sarkis for Pike River, once again because of me, Joachim Trier for Sentimental Value, Josh Safdie for Marty Supreme, Ryan Coogler from Sinners, and then ultimately the winner was Paul Thomas Anderson for One Battle After Another. But I will say it was by 1 point. It could have gone either way, but it was just 1 point separating Ryan Coogler and Paul Thomas Anderson.
Oh wow! So we had a tight race for director. That just tells you how close those 2 movies are.
Yeah. And I don't know why I had Best Director down that low anyway, but Best Young Actor and Actress, our 4 honorable mentions, we had Carrie Christopher from Weapons. He was the main kid. We had Shannon Mahina Gorman for Rental Family, Ella Anderson for Song Sung Blue, Miles Catton for Sinners, and then Jacoby Jupe from Hamnet.
Did Jacoby Jupe win?
Yeah, Jacoby Jupe won.
Oh yeah, that's amazing. That's fantastic. But I was glad to see Shannon Gorman from Rental Family. She's amazing in that movie, and that movie is amazing. I cannot say enough about Rental Family. But I'm just glad Jacoby Jupe won this category. He had all of us crying. That kid had all of us crying at that performance. But
moving on to supporting actor, which for some reason I didn't sort. All right. Now that it's sorted, our 4 honorable mentions for supporting actress: Odessa Azion for Marty Supreme, Inga Ibzadota Lilius for Sentimental Value, Elle Fanning for Sentimental Value, Amy Madigan for Weapons, and Tiana Taylor from One Battle After Another one.
Also, we had basically the same, but except Tiana Taylor ended up winning for the Gone with the Wind Awards.
Yeah. Well, that Wunmi Musaki wasn't in the. It was Odessa Azion instead.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was just about to say that. You took the words right out of my mouth.
But moving on to supporting actor, which we've got a few honorable mentions here. We had Adam Sandler for Jay Kelly, Miles Cation for Sinners, Jacob Elordi for Frankenstein, Paul Mescal for Hamnet, Stellan Skarsgård for Sentimental Value, Benicio del Toro for One Battle After Another, and Sean Penn for One Battle After Another that pulls out the win.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, we matched the Academy. It's obviously that performance by Sean Penn is an indelible performance. Whether he shows up to accept his awards or not, he gives a great performance. And, we don't want to harp on that too much, but it's obviously the case. Why does he keep winning, right?
Yeah.
Even with us.
But moving on to one that kind of surprised me for how it shook out, but for best lead actor, our 4 honorable mentions, we had Ethan Hawke for Blue Moon, Ragnar Moore for The Secret Agent, Michael B. Jordan for Sinners, Timothy Chalamet for Marty Supreme, and our winner was Leonardo DiCaprio for One Battle After Another.
Wow, that's crazy. I mean, look, we all know he's a great actor. He's been giving great performances for almost 30 years now, maybe close to 30 years, 25, 30 years, you know what I mean? It makes sense that people would vote for him, and whether our awards or any other awards, you know what I mean?
But yeah, this is but once again, it was by 1 point, and it was solely because there was a couple people that hadn't seen Marty Supreme, me included, at the time I voted, because everyone who voted for Timothy Chalamet had him at the number 1 spot. Leo only won because a lot of people a lot more people had seen One Battle of Another, so they all had him in their various spots. So that is literally how close that race was.
Wow, that's crazy.
Moving on to lead actress, our honorable mentions that we had Renato Rensiv before Sentimental Value, we had Emma Stone for Begonia, we had Rose Byrne for If I Had Legs I'd Kick You, Kate Hudson for Song Sing Blue, and our winner was Jessie Buckley for Hamnet.
So we basically matched the Academy on that one.
Yeah. And then for Best Picture, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We would have had 11 nominations in this one, but our honorable mentions first, we had Frankenstein, Pike Quiver, Wake Up Dead Man, The Secret Agent, Avatar Fire and Ash, Song Sung Blue, Sentimental Value, Hamnet, Sinners, Marty Supreme, and our winner, One Battle After Another. So for the most part, the Gone with the Wind Awards matched the Oscars as it was with the.
Yeah, how about that?
Yeah, but I will, just because it was, I do want to give thanks to the people who did vote who did send in forms, which included Caleb Coho. Well, apart from me and Dan, because obviously we were going to do it. If we didn't do it, we were going to have regrets. But we had Caleb Coho, Brian Nussbaum, Dylan Randazzo, and Madi Raymond. So thanks to those for helping vote the Golden Wind Awards. Whether or not I do them again next year, I haven't decided yet. Because it does take a lot of work, and to sort of count numbers in that. But I will probably decide that later if I do it again. But that is the end of Gone with Wind for this week. We'll be back for another season at some point in the year. Probably start around the same time we did this time around, which will probably be a little bit later than most other award shows start. But that's usually when we start getting like nominations and stuff for various ITA things around. But but Dan, where can people find you online?
You can find me under my name, Dan Skipbound, on Facebook, Instagram /Threads, X /Twitter, Blue Sky, Letterboxd, or any variation of DP Skipbound or From the Fourth Row. Also, I am the owner, editor-in-chief, and head film critic of FromTheFourthRow.com. I got my writers hard at work at all kinds of different things. We'll have a reactions to the Oscars article coming up soon. We got TV shows, we got movies. I got a slam-packed month of April coming, so I'm going to dealing with a couple film festivals. So just stay tuned to From the Fourth Row. Plus, we got Daredevil Born Again and Darth Maul shows coming up, reviews of both of those, and Invincible. So if you want to hear what my writers and myself think about some of these great shows and movies that are out there, just go to FromTheFourthRow.com. And also, my episode of Movie Mutations is out, where we mutate Rocky over on Chasing Labels channel. So if you haven't seen that, it was quite a hoot being involved with that. It's a game show. I've been working with those guys over there for a while to correlate and get ready. I'm over at the Movie Hero Network sometimes with Jordan and Austin doing movie fights and various different movie things. I'm over with Malcolm over doing Rank 'em every once in a while. I'm over with Dylan, and just yesterday, our draft of the Academy Award biggest snubs came out yesterday. So if you want to see what some of us think about the biggest snubs in Academy Award history, we did a draft of those and that came out yesterday, right before the Academy Awards, like 4 or 5 hours of that. So I'm all over the place on the interwebs, but I am so glad, Malcolm, that you asked me to come back and we had this opportunity to do this. Maybe next year we'll get some more guests on again, like we used to have, and we'll get a more regular panel besides just you and me. Who knows? But it was kind of, I give you credit, man. You put this thing together in the last minute, and it wasn't exactly like you're like jumping for joy to do it. You wanted to do it, and you asked me if I would be a part of it with you. And I said, Malcolm, I'm not going to turn you down. I mean, me and you did this. We've been doing this off and on for about 4 or 5 years now. So you've been on it longer than me. So I wasn't going to let you down. I was always going to be here for you. And me and you have a good rapport, and we get along really well, and we kind of have a fun time doing this.
Yeah. But yeah, and you can follow me on Tape Productions, hosting Rank 'em every week. This coming Sunday, we'll be ranking the top 12 best supporting actors, actor winners. Dan will be there, obviously, because it's an Oscar topic. But you can also find me on my personal channel, Mouse Media, where I host Spear from the Past. I'll have Austin on tomorrow to talk about Noah Out from 2001. And then you can find me popping up here and there on other things. I'm on Movie Hero Net from time to time. I'm pretty sure I'm on tomorrow's episode, which is based on a true story, part 3, which is the mystery series that Jordan's been doing. But yeah, until next time, we'll see you down the road. But
see you next fall, talking about the Oscars and award season.